I sense someone who did not like and subscribe. Greetings and hello there, everybody. It's me, your ever-loving Star Wars dad, Nooch Too Good, here to give you the top 10 or so-ish teams for the mid-game. So the mid-game, when you're in that 3 to 5 million range, you're hitting proving grounds, you're unlocking hard conquest, you're in the mid-game. And just to start this off, this is a follow-up video. We made one previously about the top 12 new and early game teams. You can see them listed here. If you'd like to take a look at that video, we'll pull it up at the top, and I'll also have a link to that video at the end of this video so you can go watch that. Follow up with this. This kind of follows the first, I'd say 20 to 24 teams that you're going to be looking to unlock as you make your way up into the mid-game. Again, I really view mid-game as right at that 4 million mark. You're hitting proving grounds, you're hitting hard conquest, you're able to do a lot of things in the game at that point that you're not able to do before then. So if you look at, we're kind of ranging from 3 million to 5 million, maybe 5.5, kind of, you're in the mid-game of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. So what are some of the best teams that you can use for that mid-game? Let's start right here at the beginning with Darth Traya and her Omicron in Grand Arena, and even Darth Traya teams in proving grounds. Darth Traya, Darth Malik, and Nihilus are doing amazing things in proving grounds for a lot of people. You throw in Darth Talon into there, and a lot of really great things happen. But this has got a video here of me defeating Jedi Master Luke with Darth Traya straight up in a 3v3 match here. It's like a month and a half ago. So when you have her in Grand Arena with the Omicron on, Darth Traya does a lot of nasty, awesome, good, special types of things. And this is actually a Gear 12 Darth Traya right here. Let's see if you can skip forward a little bit. I thought this was going to go a little bit faster. We're taking out Yoda. We're taking out Jedi Master Kenobi. This was a straight up win of a Gear 12 Darth Traya against a Jedi Master Luke. Now, is it guaranteed every time? No, of course, mods and datacrons will vary. So there's a lot of variances in here, but the fact that this team is able to defeat a big Galactic Legend team like this and come in and make a big difference for you. Not only that, there's just a lot of uses. Again, proving grounds. Traya is a great asset to have in proving grounds, in hard conquest, in a lot of game modes. So Traya is the first team I'm going to cover. Let's see if we can get to the end of it here. There we go. Luke's about to die. Traya is a great team to have as you're in the mid-game and as you're approaching the mid-game. And coming up next is Star Killer. Pulled this video from Axel, AXL, on YouTube. And hey, it's just, Star Killer is a Galactic Legend killer, specifically Kylo and Rey, in the early game. Also a great defensive character. Once you get to the mid-game, you really got to have Star Killer on your roster, especially recently with him being, they basically sold Star Killer for $50. And a lot of people are going to have Star Killer that did not have him before. Obviously, he is more of a Grand Arena and Territory War type of hero than other game modes. He has Omicrons for Grand Arena himself, and if you throw Juhani on his team as the one Jedi, she's going to have those Territory War Omicron on her. So you're looking at Territory Battles, Territory Wars. Star Killer needs one Sith, one unaligned Dark Side Force user, one Jedi, one unaligned Light Side Force user, and he can do just nasty things, both in Territory Wars with Juhani on the team and in Grand Arena with just about any other team comp. Great on defense. Still in the mid-game, he's still good on defense when you're facing characters or opponents. When you're facing opponents that don't have Grand Arenas on their team, Star Killer can do some really amazing things on defense or on offense in the later mid-game, or even just anywhere in the mid-game. Star Killer is just a great character to have on your roster. I've mentioned before, I've kind of regretted not having him on my free-to-play roster. He is on deck, and he's somebody I will be farming free-to-play for that roster in the near future. Let's see if we can get to pull it down. Yeah, it's about to be pulled down. The Star Destroyer comes down, takes out Kylo Ren when he's not protected, and boom, it's done. Star Killer's a great mid-game character. And coming up next is Enfys Nest. A lot of people don't think about her. You don't think about her as being a solo artist. This is her against Rebel Officer Leia Organa. It's not much of a contest. She can also take out those Mon Mothma teams. Enfys Nest becomes a solo counter to a lot of teams in the mid-game. If you're in a Rhodium Grand Arena, even
I've done it in Kyber. You know, Kyber 4, the lower levels of Kyber, you can beat up some people with Enfys Nest and really make some things happen. As a solo artist, or you put her out there with a Kira lead, a Kira dies, or a Farm Boy Luke lead to give her a bunch of tenacity, you can do a lot of great things in Grand Arena with Enfys Nest as just on a solo basis. Get you some extra banners, get you some wins. She's worth relicking up just to advance through those mid levels, those Erodium levels, low Kyber levels, and even anything below that for sure. Enfys Nest can do a lot of damage in Grand Arena. Next, we're gonna watch your boy Bit Dynasty use Padme against the Phoenix in this tier of Proving Grounds. And really, I bring up Padme. I didn't even have her on the early game list. Let's pull up that early game team. I don't think I put Padme. Excuse me. And the reason I didn't have her on there is because Qui-Gon has kind of taken over some of that Galactic Republic Jedi action. When you look at it there in the early game, Qui-Gon kind of takes Anakin off the team and makes it less effective. But when you go hit, and you can see he's restarting a bunch of times here, but when you get Padme in the mid game, we're talking about Proving Grounds, right? Padme leading a Galactic Republic team. You can see here it's Padme, 3PO, General Kenobi, Jedi Knight Anakin, and Ahsoka Tano, the original Ahsoka, against the Phoenix. This is in the Maul tier. Padme gets so many levels of Proving Ground accomplished. She's really, really good. And I know that her usefulness has faded in a lot of game modes. A lot of her characters are now handed off to Jedi Master Kenobi, or they're handed off to Qui-Gon Jinn. So there, you know, she's lost some of her juice here as time has gone on. But when you look at Proving Grounds and you look at what Padme is able to accomplish in Proving Grounds, you know, if you have Padme in there with either with this team, or you have Gas in there with Padme, and or you can put Jedi Knight Revan in there. You can also have Commander Ahsoka. Once you unlock Commander Ahsoka, she's able to do, like, I think the first 4 Proving Grounds, and maybe even one in the next, and then I think she can do the Ben Solo tier, and she can do the Scythe tier from reports that are coming out today. So Padme is really a dominant force in Proving Grounds, and because of that, she becomes a really important character as you get to the mid game. As you get to that 4 million mark, you unlock Hard Conquest, you unlock Proving Grounds. Padme can become a really important factor to you until you get a Galactic Legend on your roster to do well in Proving Grounds. Let's move ahead here and watch how she ends up conquering this finally as those stacks of courage build up. But yeah, Padme's usefulness over time in Grand Arena and other game modes has kind of faded, but in Proving Grounds, she is an all-star and really deserves a place on your roster in the mid-game. Hey, let's talk about Gas, General Skywalker. He will not be left off of any mid-game roster. As you move forward in the game, General Skywalker becomes maybe the most important character you can get. I don't know, Jedi Knight Luke is becoming really important now. We'll talk about him later, of course. But, you know, Gas just does so many things for your roster. He can beat so many teams. Here he is. This is actually a cleanup. I took out, I think, Royal Guard on this Lord Vader team and then brought in Gas to finish it off, and he just does the job. Gas, if you look at General Skywalker, he fits into every game mode. He fits onto many he fits on a Jedi Master Kenobi teams. You can use him on a Jedi Master Luke team. He fits just about anywhere in this game with the ability to make just awful, nasty things happen to your opponent. Gas is really, really important with his 501st behind him, just doing amazing things. So when you get to that mid game and you're hitting up when you get to that 3 million mark, if you don't have Gas in your roster, it's something you really got to consider, because not only does he lead to Lord Vader, here he is. And once again, I took out Royal Guard before getting this battle, but I may have been able to do it straight up anyway. Here he is taking out a Lord Vader. Again, mods and datacrons matter in these kinds of battles. They're going to be very broadly from opponent to opponent. But Gas is just somebody that you've got to have on your roster. He is just under the Galactic Legend level, and really, really important to any roster that's out there. Let's watch him finish off Lord Vader here. Actually, I think Rex does it with an air. Yeah, very nice. And speaking of Gas, let's watch him get beat up by the Grand Inquisitor here. I pulled out an old video of Gerbils using the Inquisitors. Hey, Grand Inquisitor and the Inquisitors are really important in the mid game. You know, you're probably in a big guild that's out there getting some Reva shards in Rise of the Empire territory battles. You need to be participating in that. It's something to start thinking about. This is probably a team for after you get, you know, past 4 million and you're doing some good things in Proving Grounds and succeeding in Grand Arena and starting to really climb up there. You know, the Inquisitors are going to become more and more and more important as more and more guilds move forward in Rise of the Empire and are unlocking Traya and having unlocking Reva and need you to get Grand Inquisitor unlock Reva. So the Inquisitors are gaining importance by the day, but they're a great team to look for in the mid game. Probably that later mid game, not early. Some people are unlocking them earlier, but most of you are going to look at like when you get to 4 or 5 million, starting to think about the late game, you're going to be unlocking the Grand Inquisitor, a really important character, not just for, you know, for getting those Reva shards. That's the main thing, because once you put Reva on this team, really nasty, disgusting things start to happen. But even before Reva, you can do a lot of things with these guys in the mid game in Erodium levels of Grand Arena and other game modes as well. Now let's turn our attention to fleets that you need to have in the mid game. You know, with our early game teams and now our mid game teams, have covered a lot of actual teams, but there are fleets you've got to have on your roster for the mid game. I talk about this all the time on roster review videos. The Malevolence is so important. And you gotta have the Hyena Bomber, you gotta have the Vulture Droid, you gotta have all the Geo ships. The Malevolence is a ship that can counter the Executor, it can counter the Profundity, it counters so many other ships out there in Galaxy of Heroes. The Malevolence is really important to get on your roster. Here you see it performing against the Chimera, just wiping out my opponents. I don't remember how deep that roster was, but the Malevolence just does so many good things for you, and you're probably farming Geos anyway early on, so you might as well go farm the other ships for the Separatists and get that Malevolence on your roster. And adding to this, the Negotiator. You know, the Negotiator and the Malevolence together, you're farming them with your Get To currency that you're getting from Geonosis territory battles or maybe Rise of the Empire territory battles. You need these ships on your roster. Even mine right here, it's kind of a modified on, this is on my Nooch 2 Hyper account. I did not have the Galactic Republic Y-Wing at the time. You've got to have the Malevolence and the Negotiator on your roster. Even to this point, when they first came out, they were the meta ships. They're not the meta ships anymore. Those are the Executor, Profundity, Leviathan. But Malevolence and Negotiator are just below those levels and can do great things for you on offense and defense. You've got to get both these ships up. You've got to have that Galactic Republic fleet and that Separatist fleet ready to go. Farm it. And just, I'll say it again. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. Ships take a long time to farm. That doesn't mean you should put them off. It means you should start earlier. Don't mess around. Start farming those ships you need early for both your Negotiator and your Malevolent Separatist fleet. Don't sit on them until the end and wait until now you're deep into it. You got Negotiator and you're missing a bunch of ships for it. Get those ships and get those pilots up and get them early and get them off. And you need Negotiator and Malevolence on your mid-game roster. Okay, boys and girls, here we just talked about ships, Negotiator, Malevolence. The Executor, it's out here. You've got to get this thing somewhere in that mid-game. By the time you get to 5 million, you've got to have the Executor on your roster. I know people are talking about Profundity and Leviathan, but, you know, if you're going to make Profundity work, you've got to farm the Millennium Falcon anyway, and you got to get the Bounty Hunters, and you need the Bounty Hunters for the Executor regardless. So I just feel like the Executor, as far as those top 3 capital ships in the game, yeah, it can't beat Leviathan, I know, but that's not the deal. The deal is, boys and girls, you've got to have an Executor on your roster by the mid game. It's so important. It's important for you in Fleet Arena. It's important for you to be able to climb in Grand Arena. You're just going to be behind. You're going to be falling behind in the game if you have not farmed the Executor by the time you get to 4 or 5 million. It is that important I'm going to say the early game too. If you get it in the early game, you're going to be way ahead of the game. But if you don't have it by the time you're leaving in the mid game, if you're getting that 5 million range, 5.5, you're leaving the mid game, you're going to late game at that point, you need the Executor on your roster. You've got to have it. You can't live without, I mean, this is the classic Executor mirror match. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it kicks you in the butt, and it's really obnoxious, but it is what it is. I don't know what I can say here. The Executor is there for all of the territory battle. You can use it in Rise of the Empire territory battles. You use it in Fleet Arena. Use it in Grand Arena. Your guild needs it for territory wars. The Executor is the ship that you need on your roster. So that gives us 3 fleets: the Malevolence, the Negotiator, the Executor. These are your mid-game fleets that you've got to have on your roster. There's no getting around it. By the way, thank you to Plastic and Rage for that Executor footage, and this is going to be Brian Gates here. I'm trying to find these just smallish, you know, folks posting out there. Brian Gates put out footage of Jedi Knight Luke. Jedi Knight Luke is so important in the game right now. You know, this is showing him in the assault battles. I can't remember what it's called, Assault on Geonosis or Against the Separatists, whatever, where you use Jedi. You really have to have Jedi Knight Luke to get through the final tier of this. And I don't know if Jedi Master Kenobi, I guess, would work, but Jedi Knight Luke takes you through the final tier of this assault battle. He stuns everybody. He's the one that gets everything done. There's lots of content out there showing how to get it done. But it's not just that. The Jedi Knight Luke journey leads you toward Jabba the Hutt. It leads you toward Jedi Master Luke, and the requirements lead you toward Galactic Legend Leia Organa. And he's just a really great character. Now, I've heard him being a little dog. You know, Arnold's been coming out on him lately. He's just so important, you know, to that mid-game roster. If you have Jedi Knight Luke on your mid-game roster, you're going to be crushing some noobs. And I don't know any other way to put it. You throw him on defense, you put him out there with a Jedi team in Grand Arena, he's going to be crushing some skulls on defense, making your opponent's life hard. And once you get Jedi Master Luke, he goes on that team with Jedi Master Luke and makes it he elevates that team to a level that it can't be defeated easily by other counters. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Jedi Knight Luke is really, really important in this game right now. Don't neglect him. When you get to the mid game, you need to get him on your roster and start thinking about getting Jedi Knight Luke on your roster. You need to get Wampa, Darth Vader, CLS, Lando, Rolo, Cholo, 3PO. That's what you need to get Jedi Knight Luke. It's worth it. Go get him done. Hey, let's check out Moogle with this Kylo, Supreme Leader Kylo versus Galactic Legend Rey footage. This is from back in the day. Thanks, Moogle. You know what? At this point of the game, when you're getting to that 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 million mark for the mid-gamer, you know, the mid-gamer content, you got to get a Galactic Legend. You have to get a Galactic Legend on your roster. You can't go without it. You know, the top two right now are going to be Kylo and Rey because a lot of you guys bought the packs and got them on your roster. You know, Kylo was the top for a long time. They were the first two Galactic Legends. I'm going to throw Sith Eternal and Galactic Legend Leia Organa in there as well. Those are the the 4 Galactic Legends that you can find. She doesn't have an ultimate. Wait a minute. I should have pulled this video up. I'm gonna pull up another video. All right, well, here is Dominika Sadowska, and Dominika Sadowska's got Rey versus Kylo. So there you go. It's the opposite mirror of this. So, you know, I think that those 4, you're looking at Kylo, Rey, who if you bought the packs for them, that would be your next journey to get those Galactic Legends. If you didn't, there's still great Galactic Legends to have. Sith Eternal is low-hanging fruit. His farm overlaps so much with my free-to-play account. Once I got Executor and once I got Kylo, once I had I just found out I was so close to getting Sith Eternal, I just went ahead and finished him off. And then, of course, Galactic Legend Leia Organa is going to be a really low-hanging fruit Galactic Legend for you in the future here. Once we get to... Now, there's no ultimate here either, is there? Where am I finding these videos? Anyway, guys... Rey versus Kylo. I don't know why I'm only finding videos of Rey with no ult, but those 4 Galactic Legends. Galactic Legend Leia is going to become more and more accessible over time. You can see more and more people have her, and man, she is performing in Grand Arena. She's going to be a great Galactic Legend for your team. She's going to bring you a Phoenix team, an Ewok team. She's going to give you a lot of stuff, a CLS team that you can function with. So those would be the 4 I'd be looking at, but you got to get a Galactic Legend on your roster for the mid-game. And there you go, everybody. Those are your top 10, 11, whatever mid-game teams you got to have in your roster. Let's start at the beginning. These are the new early game teams. I'm going to write about Veers, Iden Versio, Geos, Wampa, Savage Press, your Phoenix with Rex, your CLS team, your Bosk Bounty Hunters, your Vader, Qui-Gon Jinn, Omicron, and then the 2 Revans are you're looking at for those early game teams. And as you move into the mid game, you're looking at Traya, Gas, Padme, who could also be called an early game team. That's fine. Starkiller, Jedi Knight Luke, the Inquisitors, a Grand Inquisitor, Enfys Nest. You've got the Malevolence, the Negotiator, the Executor, and you've got to get yourself a Galactic Legend there in the mid-game. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, those are your top teams for the mid-game here. Hopefully these early game and mid-game teams help you know what you're farming, what you're looking for, what you're thinking about in the game. Some of you are doing different things, and that's totally fine. The game is wide open. You can farm whatever you want, but if you want my humble opinion, these are your best mid-game teams and also early game teams in the game. I will appreciate all of you. I will talk to you soon, and always remember, Nooch too good.